news today is Messe Berlin and IFA have found a way. In just a moment, IFA Executive Director Jens Heitecker will present a really exciting solution to maintaining this unique event's core identity and at the same time ensuring that everybody stays healthy and safe. And now it is my very great pleasure to hand over to Jens Heitecker.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on wherever you are. And welcome to this very unusual IFA media event. And I may be stating the obvious, but we live in unprecedented times. The coronavirus has fundamentally changed our world, and there is no new normal yet. But we know that the old normal is gone. Around the world, there is uncertainty and even fear. Many people have been affected personally by this pandemic, and some of you may have lost loved ones. You just have to see the videos of the exhausted medical staff in Wuhan, Turin, London, or New York to understand the seriousness of this situation. Our thoughts and compassion are with all those who have been affected by COVID-19. And yet, there's hope. More and more countries are managing to flatten the curve of infections. Lockdowns and quarantines are being relaxed or ending. And while the economic impact of this virus is still being felt around the world, most of us have also experienced the benefits and power of our industry. Nearly a year ago, during IFA's opening press conference, we quoted lines from what's arguably the most famous opening keynote held here in Berlin. It was given in 1930 by Albert Einstein. He spoke about the power of innovation and technology to build a better world. And he expressed his hope that the new technology of his day, the radio, would bring people and nations together. Well, today's digital technologies, computers, mobile devices, and the internet certainly have fulfilled this hope and promise. The coronavirus crisis has once again shown us we can follow what's happening in the world in real time like never before. We can see the human suffering, and we are feeling the pain. For many, technology is making this difficult situation more bearable. Technology helps doctors and scientists to collaborate globally like never before. We now can capture, share, and analyze data at a volume and speed that would have been possible even just a few years ago. I still find it a near miracle that scientists were able to sequence and share the genome of the coronavirus just a few weeks after it was first identified. In some countries, telemedicine is the new normal, and health and wellness wearables are really coming into their own. And technology made it possible for many of us to continue working remotely. Schools around the world have been able to teach students and prepare them for their exams. And 2020 is definitely the year when remote learning finally took off. And yes, we may be a bit tired of all the video calls on Zoom, WebEx, Teams, but it's still much better than being cut off from our colleagues or fellow students. And technology also connects us with friends and families, even if they are far away. And it helps us to stay fit and mentally strong. Maybe when we join an online fitness class or do yoga in our living rooms. Separate, but alongside friends. And finally, technology entertains us at a time when we have no option but to stay at home. We cannot predict what our world will look like this time next year. However, here is what we know already, and this lockdown has made it painfully obvious. Without direct human connections, without properly meeting other people, without seeing their body language in full, something is missing. It doesn't feel quite right. And yes, technology is great. Digital technologies are amazing. They make our lives easier, more seamless, more pleasant. But we also need the human connection, the personal experience. And that's why we ask ourselves, what should IFA look like in 2020, the year of the pandemic? What could be, what should be its function and purpose? How can IFA deliver on its core functions for media, for brands and manufacturers, for retailers, and of course, for consumers? How can we be of use as our world tries to recover from the current economic slump? How can we support the rebooting of our industry? And yes, we see the limitations. This virus has paralyzed our world. In many countries, most businesses are still in lockdown. Travel is difficult or even impossible. Wanted to go to a restaurant? Well, for many of us, they are still closed. And even where restaurants have reopened, like 4 days ago here in Berlin, it's quite a challenge. Its social distancing and other rules make it not the friendliest of experiences. We know that business as usual is not possible. So we thought long and hard whether it's possible for IFA to happen at all. In all our deliberations, we had only one priority. Health and safety must come first. And we hope and we expect that by September, we all will be in a better place. Lockdowns will be over, restrictions will have gone. But we also know every country is pulling through at its own pace. Come September, some countries may still impose restrictions. And everywhere, social distancing rules will still be the norm. But we also know this: our world needs new technologies to inform and entertain us, to make us more productive and to keep us safe and healthy. To access these technologies, our world depends on global trade. We cannot simply shut down the global economy and tell everybody to come back next year. Too many jobs, and therefore the well-being and frankly the mental health of too many people and families are at stake. And remember, innovation has not stopped. After all the event cancellations during the past 5 months, our industry urgently needs a platform where it can showcase its innovation, so that it can recover and rebound. Especially later this year in September, when retailers are getting ready for the year's most important shopping season with Black Friday, Singles Day, Cyber Monday, Christmas and Chinese New Year ahead of us. We know, after the lockdowns, they have to satisfy a lot of pent-up demand. Brands and manufacturers, meanwhile, urgently need a grand global stage to present their new products. We believe that IFA can be the venue for that. For starters, Berlin has been one of the few capital cities in the world that were relatively unaffected by the coronavirus. We have also been in close coordination with public health authorities. They have worked with us as we developed our concept, and together we have agreed a safe and workable solution. And of course, we hope and expect that between now and September the public health situation will improve. However, we are basing all our planning on the most stringent health and safety guidelines. After all, it's always easier to relax restrictions. Retrofitting health and safety rarely works. Having weighed the options, we are certain IFA can take place in real life as a physical event here in Berlin, but based on a new concept tailored to the current situation. As Star Trek's James T. Kirk might say, it will be IFA, but not as we know it. We can deliver IFA provided we focus this event on its 4 core functions. First, an innovation showcase for brands. Second, a platform for cutting-edge technology. Third, a global sourcing event for OEMs and ODMs. And fourth, as a marketplace where retailers and brands can come together. So what does this mean? IFA 2020 will not be open to the public. Yes, the Berlin authorities have told us that it's safe to run events up to 5,000 participants. We will be more prudent. We will permit a maximum of 1,000 people per day to any event. And I'll explain what that means in a moment. The result is that IFA 2020 will be much more exclusive, with strictly controlled access, with never more than 1,000 people. which makes it easier to control the flow and ensure good and clear social distancing. And we will also run IFA for 3 days only, from Thursday, 3rd of September, to Saturday, 5th of September. However, despite this, IFA 2020 will offer you a real-life experience and the human connections that we all crave. And here's how we are going to do it. We will run IFA effectively as 4 parallel but stand-alone events. For the benefit of media and brands, we will be holding our Global Press Conference, the GPC, as a global showcase for innovation and technology. To make it happen, we will double the number of keynote stages and also use them for all company press conferences. And to limit the number of production staff, IFA will curate these stages and offer them to brands in showcase to showcase their innovation. And so instead of going from booth to attend a series of press conferences, you can see them all on just 2 stages. That's how we make it possible for brands to reach the media and their audiences safely and within a controlled budget. We will invite 800 journalists from around the world, covering more than 120 markets. And as I hinted before, they will be drawn mainly from the media pool that attends the annual IFA Global Press Conference, which usually would have taken place in April, except this year. This will make it possible for journalists to hear from brands directly and see the year's most exciting innovation safely and in one location. There will also be opportunities for brands to show journalists their new products and devices, and media will be able to organize face-to-face interviews with spokespeople for brands. For journalists, this will be the most efficient way this year yet to cover the stories that their audiences crave. And for brands, it will be a uniquely efficient way to gain the public attention they need. So today, I'm pleased to announce the first of our keynote speakers at IFA 2020. Cristiano Amon, the president of Qualcomm. When it comes to wireless technologies, Qualcomm is arguably the world's leading innovator. During the past few months, the connectivity solutions by Qualcomm and its peers have kept our world together. Cristiano has told me that he's really looking forward to talk about the role of connectivity during this pandemic. And he will also lift the lid on Qualcomm's latest developments in 5G, artificial intelligence, and other technologies driving the future of the internet. And so I'm really looking forward to Cristiano's innovation update on Thursday, 3rd of September. For this year only, we will combine our innovation platforms IFA NEXT and SHIFT Mobility for an exclusive live event for the international tech community. Tech startups in the whole connected mobility sector urgently need the lifeblood of publicity and industry connections, and we must not deprive them. IFA NEXT meets SHIFT Mobility will be open to 1,000 participants a day over 3 days. That will be an inspiration for those who want to explore cutting-edge technology trends. If you are an innovator, disruptor, industry leader, influencer, or tech journalist interested in scoping and discussing the future of technology, this is the event you have to attend in 2020. Next, IFA Global Markets. In just a few years, this event has become Europe's largest sourcing show, but now it will be the first dedicated sourcing show in the world this year. And we have spoken to many of our partners, and the message that we heard was loud and clear. They have an urgent need to repair and restructure their supply chains. And that's why our industry must have a sourcing show. And that's why consumers need events like IFA Global Markets to go ahead. Without it, next year people may struggle to have access to the latest product innovation. And finally, we will be setting up the IFA Business, Retail and Meeting launches. Of course, it will not be possible for retailers and manufacturers to come together like every year in our halls and in the usual private area of the brand booth. And that's why we will set up meeting spaces that are curated by IFA and where businesses can be done safely but face-to-face ahead of the all-important shopping season. So, there you have it. One IFA, but one as 4 stand-alone events, each with a daily limit of up to 1,000 people. This is not a normal IFA, but it meets the needs of media, brands, manufacturers and retailers. And it is the best and most efficient way to run it during COVID-19. Of course, we know that this concept for IFA 2020 presents significant logistical challenges. But we want to make it happen, and we know that we can make it happen safely, efficiently, and with impact. As the global economy restarts, we have an obligation to help our industry. We want to be part of the solution. During the past few months, we have been working closely with our partners to understand what they need and want. And before this media event started, you will have seen the quotes from several of our partners. We all know virtual events are okay, but in terms of publicity and impact, they can get a brand only that far. Only by bringing everything together in one place at one time, like here at IFA in Berlin, can brands and journalists create the buzz and the excitement that new technology need and deserve. And that's what we can deliver with our concept for IFA 2020, focused on our 4 core functions, but as a real live event here in Berlin. Of course, for all those of you who cannot come to Berlin because they can't travel or because we have to keep down the numbers, we will also offer virtual opportunities to be part of IFA Berlin.